Jack of all trades, master of none. We've all heard this phrase before, but there's a dirty little secret to it. And put simply, that's not where it ends. The complete saying goes like this: Jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. This second half of the quote is very pivotal to the kind of life we live today. Our society is changing, or rather rapidly evolving, and here's why we need to dig deeper into it and see how having various interests can actually be more beneficial to you. For starters, let's just take a step back and see where this phrase "jack of all trades" came from. Looking at history, the earliest documented use of this phrase was in 1612 by Geoffrey Minshall in the book titled Essays and Characters of a Prison, where he said, "Good householders, good husbands, good jack of all trades." And at this initial stage, it was in no way derogatory. It was in fact seen in the opposite light, where a man of many skills and trades was often praised, as this was seen as something to be prideful about during the Renaissance period. That's roughly the 14th to 17th century. Fast forward to the late 18th century, and Europe is coming off of a renaissance that caused a ripple effect that was felt globally. And in light of that comes the rise of formal expertise, where basically being a specialist in a certain field or niche gave you the upper hand in mostly elite and academic circles. And at this point, being seen as someone who could do a lot, or in other words, being a jack of all trades, started being perceived as sloppy, hence why the phrase then evolved to a more condescending tone: jack of all trades, master of none. Now, whilst this negative connotation was starting to gain major traction, fueled by the rise of industrialization and expertise, it definitely chipped away from the positive credibility of the initial phrase. Things that require people to do repeated tasks on a frequent basis created a diminishing need for varying skill sets. As a result, the updated phrase with a negative connotation caught a wave. You know how we had the Renaissance? Well, 4 centuries later, the internet happened.
It spans the globe like a superhighway. It is called Internet.
Millions of Americans own a personal computer. If you're one of them, you can now glimpse the future with nothing more than a modem, a phone line, and a few dollars a month.
A lot had changed since the 18th century. Mankind had gone to war on a global scale twice. Humanity has practically erased all borders with the commercialization of airplanes and the rise of global trade, encouraging international relations and a whole new playing field in the workspace. But amidst all this progression and growth, tragedy struck. First notably in the year 2000. The dot-com bubble just blew up in everyone's face. The rise of the internet had given way to a new wave of internet-related businesses and stocks, resulting in overvalued startups with high speculations but an overwhelming lack of profitability. This caused several major internet companies to go bankrupt, triggering a panic among investors. And just like that, the stock market lost about 78% of its value, roughly about $5 to $6 trillion. And in 2008, the US housing market crashed. The effects of this crash spread all over the globe, causing millions to lose their jobs, houses, and even life savings, kickstarting a long and arduous recession that's actually sticking around till this day, but that's a topic for another video. And to top it all off, 2020 happened, or rather, the COVID pandemic happened. Everyone was stuck at home. Millions of people lost their jobs yet again, and businesses couldn't keep up, so they had to shut down. Global trade in itself was at a standstill. Every area of life was affected, and people, governments had to devise new ways to adapt and thrive. And that's where we started seeing pretty much everything going online. Your classes, businesses, jobs, even everyday basic services had to find a way to be done online or with as minimal human interaction as possible. This drastic change can also be seen as a paradigm shift. Everyone and everything going online gave birth to a whole new type of economy, the gig and creator economy. We're currently in a gig and creator economy, where for the most part, majority of our interactions and transactions are done online. For example, take platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, and even freelancer.com. These platforms do well over 100 million web visits in a month combined, with majority of their users being below the age of 35. This shift in dynamic has also caused the demand for a more flexible way of expressing ourselves and even our work. Companies no longer just want a designer, but now they want a graphic designer with social media knowledge and copywriting skills, Probably even video editing too. They're trying to kill you in the company or something. I'm just kidding. But anyway, the flip side to all this is that you're now able to do multiple things and can actually land you more opportunities. Now, what I mean by that is that we live in an age where everyone's becoming their own boss. Companies are cutting loose ends on many fronts and people are taking the initiative. And to be honest, most Gen Z don't even have much of a choice but to be their own boss. Because by the time they graduate college, if they're not well connected, they'll be applying to hundreds of jobs on LinkedIn for months and feeling like they're incompetent. So with that in mind, people are starting up their own businesses, learning skills to render varying services. And this is where we start to see the different iteration of that old phrase, jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. We've talked a lot about how we transition from a specialization economy to a generalization one. But one thing that needs to be addressed in this new economy is being a T-shaped professional. A T-shaped professional is someone who has a deep expertise in one area, that being the vertical line of the T, whilst having broad knowledge across multiple areas, and that's the horizontal line of the T. The reason this approach is actually pretty ideal for most people is because having a deep expertise makes you credible, and that in conjunction with having a broad understanding lets you collaborate across teams, connect ideas, and even adapt to different roles or challenges. Think of a video editor who is like highly skilled, has deep knowledge in Premiere Pro or like CapCut. But this editor now also knows a fair amount of sound design, storytelling, graphic design, and give or take even social media trends. Essentially, they can work better with creative teams, pitch better ideas, and even execute projects with more ease. And hey, if you want some famous examples, sure, Virgil Abloh, his deep skill, architecture and design, his broad knowledge, fashion, music, art direction, and more. Another one is Tyler the Creator. His deep skill is rapping and music production, and then he branched into fashion, music, business, event production, and more. And another honorable mention is Chimamanda Adichie. Her deep skill is writing and literature, and from there, she branched into pushing causes like feminism and more through public speaking, also indulging in fashion and cultural commentary and documentary as well. I understand not everyone wants to do a whole lot of things, and that too is fine. But all I just want to highlight here is that route of having one thing to do or even one job for years, to the point where you even have some sort of loyalty and job security, that reality is rapidly fading away today. I'm not trying to be bleak, but rather honest. Being a generalist today, or rather a T-shaped professional, is one of the smartest approaches to life right now. And it works in our favor because humans are meant to express themselves in various ways, from the way we cook to the things we do for work and passion. I myself experience this fluidity a lot in my life. Being able to be called up to fly my drone at a shoot, the next day getting commissioned to curate a music cover art, the day after I'm scripting and directing a shoot with my friends. I'm a creative director and filmmaker. My creativity knows no boundaries. The world is my canvas. Embracing this can lead to a more fulfilling career and life. You're capable of so much more than you imagine. If you want something, go for it. You only got one life. Try not to overthink it. If you found this video insightful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. Also, share your thoughts in the comment section below and let me know, do you consider yourself a specialist or a generalist? Let's talk about it. And on that note, I'll see you guys in the next video.